company now for over 20 years. In those 20 years, I've had a variety of roles, up to and including managing some divisions, vice president, some various organizations or departments in the company. And then ultimately in the last 10 years or so, I've been now the president of the company. So that's my journey. And that's my filler for you as you're doing your IT work there.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you filling in for me there. And today we have Roger coming in. We're going to be talking about something super exciting towards the end of this. We kind of have an announcement and an opportunity for you guys to come hang out with us. But before that, what we're going to be talking about, and we'd love to kind of hear your guys' thoughts. We're going to make this as interactive as possible. We're going to be talking about working on your business versus working in your business. And so I just want to hear from the audience really quickly, relatively quickly here. Do you think that you're spending most of your time working in your business, or are you working on your business mostly? Have you stepped in that CEO role yet? Or are you still the technician? Are you still doing all the details, the ins and outs of the bookkeeping, the accounting work?
Nice little E-Myth reference there. I like that. That was good. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I'm gonna chime
go
in
ahead.
here, Alyssa, just
Yeah.
because I think as everyone's answering your question, this would be a good thing to kind of consider. I think it's natural for us to work in the business. That's what we're getting paid to do. That's what we enjoy doing. We have a product or service that we like to perform. And as we're taking care of the clients that are paying us, we're staying busy. And the more of that we can do, the more money hopefully we're making. So it's somewhat distracting to say, okay, I need to remove myself from the day-to-day operations and kind of reflect on my business and see what my business needs of me. What does my business need? Time, energy, effort, attention that I can deliver. And all of a sudden you're in a different mindset. It's all those various hats that we wear as we're running our companies, putting on that one of, okay, let's put the owner one on for a while. And for us in our organization, we do a quarterly retreat. We try to speak with the various players in the organization to get a report of what's going well, but also what are the plans. But even in a solo entrepreneur type venue, it's good to reflect, sit back, quarterly assess. Are we still on the trajectory doing what we've always wanted to do? So those are just some insights as people are answering your question there.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. And I see a lot of in the business, especially this time of year. Yes. 60 in and 40% on in the business. I love the honesty and transparency, and the accountability to yourself, I think is so important to you guys. Coming to these calls, showing up to the calls with your mentors, with your peers, and kind of calling yourself out, holding yourselves accountable to us, to yourselves, to your peers, because that's when you learn, right? If you put on those rose-colored glasses and you're not honest here, well, you're not going to be honest with yourself. And so show up to this call. The way you show up to this call is the way you're going to show up in your business. So let's hold yourselves accountable to that.
Let me jump in with one other thing. The difference here for so many of us is we're happy to say we own the company, but too often I think what we do is we do the job that the business has us doing. And so yes, we own it, but we're doing a job. How often do we step into the role of owner to where we have that visionary perspective of where we feel the company needs to be progressing? What do we feel it needs to improve in various areas such as marketing, sales, client onboarding, client retention, delivering a better quality product to wow or impress, over deliver for the client? All of those things are things that you really assess from the owner's mindset, not from the task or job mindset. So it is a cognitive thing that you have to put yourself into that mindset and actually see, okay, how am I going to look at the business differently at this time and work on it as you're describing?
Yeah, and this brings up a good point. I was going to ask this question, Roger. So it was last week I actually talked about, I kind of drew a board, I drew on my whiteboard back here, what it looked like to what a company looked like, right? Like I had the big circle at the top, like this is the company. And then, here's the CEO, and you might have an accounting department, and then you might have a marketing department, in sales, right? And so you have all these departments, and maybe when you left corporate, you just worked over here. Like maybe you were just in accounts payable, maybe you were the CFO, maybe you were a controller, or whatever your position was. So how much of leaving that position as just being the employee, how much of that mindset do you think carries over, and how much do you think it contributes to us having to make that transition? And what do you think that transition actually looks like for these people? What types of things can they do to shift into being employee mindset, where they're leaving just that small piece of a company to really owning the whole thing, right? And taking ownership for, like, all of this is mine now.
Yeah, you're talking about stepping outside of your comfort zone. There's a lot of things
Right.
that you're going to have to do that maybe not be natural skill sets that you're going to over time develop, and that's perfectly fine. But the organizational chart that you just spoke of, excellent exercise, because what it does is going to do two things. First of all, it's going to allow you to identify your ideal business model. What am I striving for? What am I building in the next 3 to 5 years? And as you fill out the organization chart, you're saying, okay, I have an accounting department. Well, I expect that with my business model producing in 3 years that revenue, I'm going to need 3 bookkeepers. Well, I'm going to have 1 accountant over those bookkeepers, but we're also going to provide tax services. So I need a tax preparation specialist like a CPA or an EA, and maybe some tax preparers. And then we're going to offer over here some payroll services. Well, the point is you get to describe the organization for the business you're building just as you want. And the beauty of it is it's your company. It can have as little or as many roles. But when you start, all of those roles do exist. It just so happens to be that your name appears in every one of the positions. And what you end up doing is you start putting an asterisk next to, well, who's the first person I'm going to hire to take on this responsibility? And it's dependent upon 3 things. How much have you documented that you can then duplicate and have somebody else do it, that you're then going to be able to delegate, give them the authority and the responsibility in that position. And as you go through that process, you're going to find that there are going to be 2 types of positions that you're going to want to fill. First, you're going to be saying, this is the least thing I enjoy doing. It's the thing I have the least skill set in. Somebody can do this better than me. That's the first thing I want to hire. Or this is the thing that is the least revenue producing or effective use of my time. I'm paid too much money to do this. I need to hire someone else to do it. Those are 2 questions that typically lend themselves to identifying which is that next position you need to hire, and document what you're going to have them do. That's your processes. Delegate, train them, give them the tools and resources to do it. Delegate in this, delegate in the sense that you're going to now give them the responsibility and authority for it. So document, duplicate, delegate. So there you go.
Yeah, and I love the mindset of that, how you just described that with the D's there, right? I love that. Now, the way I describe this is leveraging profit to hire people so they can put processes in place for you, right? And the reason that I describe it that way is because I'm not a processes person. I am never able to put a process in place. Like, I know what I do and I could show you how to do it, but like, can you put the process? Can you document it for me?
Uh-huh.
And so what do you think? What are your thoughts on that, Roger? Like, as a non-process procedure person, like, don't make me document anything. Can I just tell you what to do and you put it? Like, my team has, even back in my bookkeeping business, like Lindsay, my main accountant, she built out our processes. I didn't do it. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, what I'm going to kind of draw from is my experience with salespeople. Salespeople are horrendous for documentation. And so when you hire a salesperson, say, hey, what I need you to do is document this process of what you're doing to get a sale. And we're going to use that to train the next person. They can't do it. They don't know what they do. They can't describe what they do. And they're not going to take the time to write it down either. So where I'm going to come to you is I'm going to go to your strength rather than the document and everything. I'm going to say, in your position, you're going to want to look at, what positions do I need to hire that are going to bring in an ROI, literal revenue? And it's going to do one of 2 things. You're hiring someone specifically to produce sales, revenue that you can actually put on the top line, or that role that you're hiring is going to free your time up to produce revenue. One of the two needs to occur because that top line revenue is going to be the justification for that position to be filled and the payroll to be covered. So when you're asking the question of your perspective, you're looking at it from two points of view. Either one, I'm hiring somebody that they have the skills, the ability, the clarity to go get the money that we need in the business, or they're going to be the person that's going to free my time up that I can spend more of my effort doing revenue producing activities. That's how you're looking at it. So it's not the document. You're not documenting anything. You're not duplicating anything. You're not delegating. What you're doing is you're saying, I either need somebody with a skill set to produce, or I need somebody to do a job that I can now go produce more.
Yes. And the reason I bring that up is because I think so often I work with clients all the time where they're like, well, I need to have processes and procedures in place before I hire, but they're already swamped. They don't have time to put processes and procedures in place. And I'm like, just hire somebody and tell them to do it. Make sure somebody who has that skill, so you can take all that, put it off your plate so you can onboard more clients if you need to, or so you can just offload some of your work, pump the brakes, make it so you both can breathe a little bit, put some of those processes and procedures in place, and then do some more revenue generating activities so you can continue to grow. But often it's that we have the mindset, I can't bring on a person to help me with this work because I don't have processes and procedures in place. And my thought process is, if you don't have them in place now, it's probably because you're not the type of person who wants to do it anyways. And I know that's me right here. I am not process and procedure driven.
So when I've worked with my clients, it's one of those two tactics or approaches that I bring to it. If there's somebody that's saying, I'm unwilling to hire an individual because I haven't documented yet what it is that they need to do, my first question is, are you of that mindset that you can clearly define that job, that you can then delegate it? If they come back and say, like you were describing, I'm not a position that's very particular to details, it's not my forte. Okay, well then stop using that as the excuse. Hire somebody that can, and like you're describing, let them take it, and they're going to be that attentive person that's going to have all the details. You now don't have an excuse. Just get it done.
Right. Yeah, and I love what you said earlier, Roger, about each person has to be a person who is helping you drive revenue or is freeing up time to generate revenue. And can I say, I still look at my company this way. I think I learned this early on, and I still look at my team this way. It's like, are you contributing to revenue? Are you helping us generate more revenue? Or are you freeing up my time that is allowing me to generate more revenue? Right. And so each person, I look at my team, like I look at them that way. Like, are you helping us? Right? Are you helping us generate more revenue? Like, and it's like, hi team members. But that's the reality. Like, if you're not saving me time so I can do what I need to do, and if you're not contributing in a way that is generating more revenue for us, well, we have a problem. There's something broken here, right?
Yeah. So the way I would describe it is there's two things, time and money. Okay. Now in a business, when you're first starting out, if you're like in that solo entrepreneur mentality or situation, everybody that you hire for the first little bit is in essence taking from your earning potential. Okay. So you're going to justify hiring somebody only because if I hire them, they're going to help me, or directly they will produce top line revenue that covers their wage. Okay. Therefore, I'm at a net positive, not a net loss revenue wise. But at some point while you're growing the business, every one of those positions is driving money to the top line, and you are covering their costs. Totally very important here. But at some point, what's going to be very apparent is you're going to also recognize time has a worth. And you're going to say, you know what? I don't necessarily need to see an incremental increase so much so that it's revenue proof of hiring that role, but it is something that's freeing up my time. Rather than working an 80-hour week, I'm now working a 50-hour week. Well, that's huge. And to the person that no longer needs the money because their lifestyle is being met and all the other employees are happy, to hire a person because they simplify things in the office and help things flow smoother and get done quicker, and you're looking at an efficiency level, what happens is your profitability goes up. even though your revenue hasn't gone up. And so what we're trying to do here is streamline things, put in place perhaps the processes that aren't your forte. And all of a sudden, what you used to get done in 10 hours is getting done in 5. So top line revenue didn't change, but the time to do the work has. Now all of a sudden you're more profitable per hour merely because of the fact that you've got those processes and systems in place to help actually produce that efficiency that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this been good so far, you guys? Just doing a quick check-in. Do you guys have questions around any of this? Drop them in the chat. If you're stuck on hiring, you're not sure when to hire. And that's a great question, Roger. When do you recommend, when do people do that first hire? When do you see people do that so they can pull themselves working in so much in the business and start working on it?
So I'm going to answer the question 2 ways. All of us here in the room are bookkeepers, accountants. Arguably, many of us have clients where the first thing that they've actually paid a third party to perform happens to be the accounting services that they're paying you to produce. Okay. So we're in a position where we need to be able to articulate this statement here very well, because when we're meeting with business owners, we may be having to explain to them why they should be outsourcing the accounting to us and not doing the work themselves. And we should be able to say to the person who owns a landscaping company, you make far more money going on the site and doing a landscaping job than you going back on a Friday and spending your afternoon doing the accounting and payroll. You'd be smarter to pay me to do that than for you to sit down and do it. Go out, do the landscaping. You enjoy it. You love it. You're good at it. You charge $100 an hour. Why don't you go do that and not worry about this headache that I can help you with? So we need to be able to articulate this very point so well, because this is what we're doing with all the clients that we're servicing. So now let's take that same discussion internal. Why are you doing some of these menial tasks? And I say menial in a kind way, things that you could pay somebody $15 an hour to do, $20 an hour to do, rather than what you're billing the client at $60, $70, $80 an hour to do. Well, you've got the margin there to pay somebody else to free you up so that you can go get another client and then get that person that you're working with busy. Sometimes I think we equate busy to being efficient or busy to being profitable. I'm not questioning whether or not you're busy. Fine, get yourself busy. But what we need to be doing is thinking about this from a business perspective. I really struggle with solo entrepreneurs that don't want to hire employees, because honestly, at the end of the day, my opinion is that you have a glorified job. You own, you hire, you're not going to fire yourself. You have a glorified job. When you become an owner, it's when you actually hire the first person. It's kind of like a marriage. That's great that you're husband and wife, you're married together. That's wonderful that you've got this wonderful union. That's amazing. Now have a kid. And then everybody that says, I've got one kid, everybody that's got more than one kid will say, okay, get 2 kids and tell me what parenting's like. Okay, now get 3 kids, tell me what parenting's like. One kid isn't parenting. If something's broke in the house, we know who broke it. Okay, if something's not put away, we know who didn't do it. Okay, get 2 kids and have them bicker in front of you and point the finger at one another. That's what we're talking about. Get employees. Let's get going. And then the synergy, it's like kind of like horses. All of a sudden, when you're able to work together with other people, they start to bring insights and perspectives about the business, your clients, that you're not getting just because it's all in your head. You need that. And it's like horsepower. The more horses you get in there, the more you can do. And that's what we're trying to do, is bring in these other expertises into the business so that we can collaborate and better take care of the clients we're servicing. It's funner working with employees.
It is. It's so much better. So one of the reasons I asked this is because I had this great meeting with our agency the other day, and one thing that, we had a comment in the comments earlier. I think Paula said, if we listen to our own advice, they said, how many of your clients would do better if they just took their own medicine? And I was like, oh my gosh, the fact that I have to teach them accounting on my board back here, it blows my mind that I have to show them profitability and break even point. And I'm like, do you understand your own break-even point? Like, let's go. We gotta apply these principles to our own businesses, friends, right? And so I love that. And here's the thing: 100% profit margin business is like, that's a fairy tale that is going to end up a nightmare all day long, right? Like, your business, if it's 100% profit margin right now, because you're not paying anyone, there's no expenses, right? Because you're just taking all the revenue from that 1, 2, 3, 4 clients and it's going into your pocket, you're going to burn yourself right into the ground real quick. I hired immediately. I brought on, her name's Lindsay. She's still somebody I know. She's still local to me. She's a CPA. I brought her on immediately. I was like, I don't want to do bookkeeping. And I hired her. And so I started my business almost instantly the right way, which is sometimes why it's great that I'm a mentor in this space, because it helps me to say like, no, there's a better way. I was able to do it successfully, but it's hard for me to relate at times because I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself, friend? Like, why are you doing this? So I love everything that you're bringing to us. Is everybody getting so much value from Roger today? This is awesome. Thank you so much, Roger.
Yeah, I see we've got 35 people in the rooms. I'm seeing the chat come in, but honestly, I'm not reading the chat and so forth. So I'm at a disadvantage. If there's a particular question that anyone has about the difference between working in or on, love to have it. Those of you that are solo entrepreneurs starting out, I definitely want to invite you to consider hiring people. One of the things that you've got to realize is, even if now is not the right time, it should still be in the business plan. I really challenge you to realize that until you have a business that can live autonomous from you, that is a self-sustaining entity that can function with your absence, where you go on a vacation, where you go into a conference, if you can't leave and have the front door open, take care of clients, take phone calls, you don't have a business, you have a job, because nothing's getting done unless you do it. Okay. So you should at least have on the horizon at some point the intent of building your business. Those of you who have employees, the question is how often do you step outside of the business, kind of the day-to-day operations, and put some thought to what you're going to be as a leader to help your employees realize that they're with something that is evolving, improving, bettering. That's an organization that they can get excited about. It does require change, but that's where you're able to come in and say that we're going to remain competitive in the marketplace because we're evolving for our clients. We're considering new technologies. We're looking at new options. We're looking at other revenue streams that can complement what we're doing now to make money. That's what a leader is somebody that's exploring those things while the employees are taking care of oftentimes those day-to-day actions.
Yes. And we do have some questions in the chat. So any suggestions on increasing leadership skills and being comfortable sharing when employees aren't performing well and communicating that in an encouraging way? I know I have some suggestions. What are some quick tips you have, Roger, on this?
I'm going to give a tip regarding meetings. Meetings can be very helpful. The more that you have deliberate meetings, the better. Sometimes meetings just occur as an ad hoc. That's fine. Sometimes meetings are structured to where every Monday we have a meeting, but sometimes people wonder, well, why are we having the meeting? It's so boring. It's wasted time. Give your meetings purpose. So let me just give you some advice. One, start the meeting always with a report, a return and report element that says, last time we met, these people left with these responsibilities, these tasks. We need an update. Tell us how that went. That accountability ensures that not only does it get done, but more importantly, it's going to give you an update as to what's happening, and people know I'm going to be asked about this. So when the meeting ends, you're going to leave with tasks and responsibilities. So you start the next meeting with a report on that. Second thing, your job in facilitating the meeting is to ensure that everyone in attendance says something. Sometimes you're going to have within the space people who kind of dominate the meeting, do all the talking, and others that just kind of sit back on the side and maybe don't even speak at all. Your job is to solicit information from everyone so that at the end of the meeting, everyone felt like there was a reason why they came and participated, and that what they had to say mattered. As long as everyone has that opportunity, they're going to feel like the meeting was worthwhile. Third thing, in the meeting, you need to be talking about things that are relevant to the business and the customers. But what you need to be doing is you are the one that ties the two together so that everyone understands how this matters to the profitability of the business. Why does what we just discussed matter to the bottom line? Well, if we can figure this out, this is what's going to happen. Lots of times discussions happen in business and we just don't understand how it matters to the revenue, to the profit. We've got to be able to articulate as the leader why we're talking about this and why it's important. And I think sometimes in meetings, we get together, hey, does anybody have anything to say? Does anybody have anything to talk about? Nobody knows why they're there. And at the end of the meeting, they're like, why do we even come? No, I didn't have anything to say. Nothing said mattered to me. Your job in running the meeting is to make sure it does matter and that it actually is applicable to everyone. And so that would be my advice to creating that culture of accountability so that they feel like they're contributing and that they're an essential part of the business success.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that. So team meetings, we do team meetings consistently. I have team meetings with my full team on Mondays and Wednesdays. I have team meetings with my executive team on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So every single morning, I'm meeting with my team, checking in, making sure everyone knows what they're doing every single day. I also have one-on-one meetings with my team, and we follow a structure. And I pulled up one of the meeting reviews. I can't show it because it's actually from a team member, but I follow a structure. Write this down. The first part is affirmation. So I begin each meeting talking about what's going on that's positive. How are things going for you, right? Tell me what's going good. So we start with affirmation. What's going good? What are you enjoying about your job? Next, we talk about, and I reiterate that, right? I affirm, yeah, I think that's going really well too. Then we talk about adversity. So what is not going well, right? A lot of times, if the team member wants to be held accountable, they're going to be talking about things that they don't think are going well. And I will probably agree with them, right? So team member, maybe it feels like sales isn't going well. You know, I actually had 6 sales calls last week. I didn't close any of them. I'm really not happy with that. Yeah, I noticed that all 6 of those calls didn't close either. Let's talk about those calls, right? So adversity is next. We can talk about that. We can give additional feedback. We could talk about resources we have available. Next thing is accountability. So we follow up the team members with any action items from previous meetings that we had. So last time we talked, you were going to get this done. Did you get all of that done? So I'm holding them accountable. And then action is next. So we create action steps to move forward. What else do you need to do? What should you be working on? What projects are in your pipeline? And then finally ask, is there anything else that you need from me to continue to be successful? The reason that this works so well, if you're having regular meetings with your team members, when things are not going well, they're going to say it out loud. Or if they're not saying it out loud, it gives you an opportunity to say it out loud. And that way, if things are continuously not going well, they're not going to be shocked when you're not happy. When you're not happy with their performance, they're not going to be like, oh, wow, I've been working with you for 2 months and you haven't liked my work, right? It's not going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be like, hey, over the last few weeks, we have been talking about this, and this, and you haven't been performing well. We've talked about it over the last couple of weeks, right? So they're not going to be surprised, right? A couple of you, Deja, Paula, Caitlin, you are all in my mastermind. You all have access to this. I did a full-blown training on it. It is in module 3 in our mastermind. I'm pretty sure. Allie, can you get the full form? So I'll repeat those again, though, for those of you who need it. Affirmation, adversity, accountability, action, and ask. So that's how I perform all of my team meetings. And here's the next piece that I think is awesome. When a team member is not meeting expectation, I raise the expectation. Why do I do that? If they're not meeting this expectation, maybe they're a 30% worker, right? Like they're like, oh, Alyssa wants me here, so I'll just do this. I'll put on the pressure. Never mind, I want you here, right? Because then maybe they'll start to meet the expectation. But if they can't meet this expectation, they will likely see themselves out on their own because they realize that the workload is not what they're cut out for, right? So they'll find themselves out. So that is kind of how this has worked for me over the last couple of months, years.
By the way, you had in the chat there while you were speaking a question that came up on how often you're meeting with yours. I'll just answer that question for myself. I do a team meeting where I have all my managers come in on a weekly basis. It's every Monday. We do it every other Monday, and the other Monday is the one-on-one. I have my Monday filled with one-on-ones. It's an hour meeting that I have with each of my managers, and I go through that. And following a similar one-on-one type thing, it's basically, here are the standards, the key metric. I have every one of my employees in the company has a key metric that they're responsible for. And with that key metric, we're just trying to assess, did you meet that metric or not? And then we move on to the other things. So there are some things that are happening that require us to dive deeper. But if they're hitting that key metric, they're doing their job and we move on.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. I am embarrassed to admit I have not been doing mine as frequently this year as I would like to. I need to be more on Roger's level and do them every other week. That is my goal, is to get to them bi-weekly. That's my goal. Make it your goal. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, well, we're coming up to the top of our hour here. Awesome questions. I feel like this has been super valuable for everyone.
Alyssa, would you mind if I offered a few other things real quick? Just a list of
yeah,
things. Whenever
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with business owners and we're talking about working on their business, there are a few things that I help are kind of helpful to consider as you're wondering, what can I do to be part of this? I heard you mention earlier a mastermind. Getting with peers, business owners, and being in a mastermind is hugely helpful because of the fact that you'll each have insights and perspectives. It becomes kind of like a board meeting where you're able to contribute on issues that one another is facing. So that's helpful to get that outside perspective. 2, business coach. If you don't have someone individually that's holding you accountable for what you're doing, a business coach can be amazing simply because of the fact that you'll probably still realize that these are priorities that you need to address in your business, but they will bring them to the forefront faster and help you accomplish them quicker than you would have done on your own. So business coach is wonderful. 3rd thing, read books. You need to be in that curious mindset, where as a curiosity, you just have things about business, leadership, time management, just all those types of things that really allow you to go a little deeper into those principles and then apply them in your business. And it keeps you in that creative mode because you're then always coming into the business with some new idea that you want to implement. 3rd thing that I would also suggest is conferences and attending an event. Going somewhere where you can interact with your peers, accounting peers, and in that event, actually get to talk to people about what they're doing. I attended, for just as an example, years ago, an event where I was doing business coaching. So working with other business owners, offering the business advisory services. And I went to a conference where we had a number of business advisors, and I was quick to learn how often they meet with clients, how long are their meetings with their clients, what are some of the things that they're talking about with their clients and training them on addressing as business topics. It was hugely helpful to get those insights and perspectives of my peers, what they're doing. These aren't my competitors. I'm not competing with them anywhere. They're not going to get a client from me. So we all had our space, we all had our expertises, and we were able to open up and be very free about what it is we do. But the other thing I'd say about conferences is it gives you a chance to also hear from the experts on the stage, the opportunity to actually hear what professionals are saying, the people that are ahead of you that can lift you to that next level. The other thing at a conference is you have the opportunity to actually go hear what's going on from the vendors, the tech people that come and so forth. Everybody that's got something to sell you honestly has something that you ought to consider, only because of the fact that they're trying to make your job better. And they're coming with a tool, a resource, an application that you ought to consider. Not that you need to go after every shiny object, but within the profession, you should know what's going on so that you can be appraised as to the new things that are happening in the space of accounting, let's say. So definitely, if you haven't been doing those types of things, consider them, because that's what you do as a leader. Alyssa, would you want to add anything else?
No, I love all of that. Absolutely. Thank you, Roger, so much. You're awesome. It's been so fun getting to know Roger. We got to meet last year, early last year, and he invited me to speak on his stage last year, at GrowCon last year, and it was, and then this past, we had you come and you did a guest, you came to one of our money maker meetings, and we talked about, oh, maybe you can come speak again at GrowCon. And so now that's what we're talking about right now. Is that what we're talking about right now?
It is.
GrowCon.
We
Right
asked
now.
Alyssa to come back and actually speak
Yes.
again at GrowCon, and we're excited to have her come. Her expertise,
Yes.
her perspective is hugely important, and we want to actually announce that and let you know that, yes, your superstar is going to be on stage at GrowCon. And because of that, Alyssa, what do we want to say next?
We're inviting you to GrowCon. Are you guys coming to Utah? We're Thanksgiving Hill. Is that the name of the hill?
Thanksgiving Point. It's a
Thanksgiving
phenomenal
Point.
place. Yes.
Thanksgiving Point. I'm gonna be there. My husband's coming. We're so excited. We're actually gonna stay a little bit longer. I'm gonna drop the link for you guys there. And Roger, why don't you give us an overview of GrowCon?
I'd be happy to. Yeah,
Yes.
let me give you a few pieces of information that as you consider this, you can at least keep in the back of your mind. One, we put this on as an event for you. We want to recognize that you, as you're working on your business, have different challenges, things that you're facing. And so we want to address those issues that matter to you. So we've got 4 topics that are going to be covered by experts on the stage. The first is that of marketing and sales. Some of you are in a growth mindset. You're trying to figure out how to acquire new clients. And so we're going to be talking about very specific things that you can be doing to accelerate your marketing and sales to get you the clients you need and deserve. So the marketing and sales is going to be huge. Others of you might be in a position where you perhaps have enough clients, you're happy there, you don't need that, but we're going to be talking about quality services. What can you do that actually is of value to the client that they're going to be willing to pay for, that maybe you can complement your current services with, that you can use to retain them longer and so forth. It's what can you do to be what we refer to as the premier accounting firm in their area, whether it's bookkeeping services, accounting services, tax services. It's all those things to help them realize that you are the person that they need to be working with as a business owner to grow their companies. The third thing we're going to be talking about is on stage, the experts helping you to work efficiently and profitably. It's one thing to be busy. It's one thing to have an accounting, bookkeeping, tax business where you have clients and you're working and everything's going well. But is there a smarter, better, more efficient way that you can be doing this work? Is there a way that you can actually do it to more of the money hits the bottom line and helps you be profitable? That's why you're in business. And so some of you might be in a place where you're saying, I've got the clients, I love what I do, and I'm good at it, but man, I wish I could be a little bit more efficient and profitable. And we're going to be talking about those things. The other that we're going to be addressing is mental health. A lot of us, as we're growing and working on our businesses, sometimes it's a head game, and we need to actually have the mental capacity to stay positive for our employees, for our clients. We need to stay present. And for some of us, life happens, and we need to learn how to better manage some of those challenges that we're facing. And so at the conference, we're going to give you expert speakers like Alyssa to actually get on stage and give us all this expert advice. But the second thing that you want to realize is it's in that room that you're going to have access to your peers, literally people sitting next to you that are likewise doing this, that you're going to be able to ask questions. How about you? What about this? You're ahead of me. You're behind me. This is what I'd offer as a suggestion. It's amazing how that collaboration becomes so helpful. And these contacts can oftentimes prove to be very beneficial to your business. You know, maybe you don't offer tax planning services, but you meet somebody there that would be a great person to associate with and team up with, and now you collaborate. You do bookkeeping for all of their clients, they do all the tax planning and preparation. Those types of collaborations actually occur at the event. The other thing, and it's the third thing, is you get to actually associate with individuals like Alyssa, myself. Talk to us one-on-one. Let's talk about you. What are you doing? What are your challenges? What are the things that you would like to discuss? And have those collaborations where you have those one-on-one conversations with people that can give you the insights that I feel you could benefit from and really take your business to a whole new level. So let me give you a few of the details. The event is on May 8th and May 9th. May 8th and May 9th in Utah. It's just south of Salt Lake City in a venue called Thanksgiving Point. It's beautiful. It was actually created by someone that was very successful. If you're old enough, I don't know how many of you are going to be old enough. Before Word, there was Word Perfect. I don't know if WordPerfect sounds familiar to anyone, but it was a word platform that, just like Word, you would actually do typing and so forth. Well, he happened to be one of the founders of this company, was hugely successful, and he took his millions and actually purchased some property where he put gardens and he put petting zoo, just a lot of things to give back to the local community. And it's a refuge. It's like a park. It's a sanctuary. Well, at that venue, we happen to have a museum. It's a natural history museum where they've got dinosaurs and everything. And we're going to be doing the event in that facility. And it's going to be an amazing thing. So near there, there's a hotel that you can stay at. You can fly into Salt Lake or Provo. Most fly into Salt Lake. Stay there. It's very affordable. We've been very conscious of trying to keep the cost down for this, but nonetheless, it's an event you do not want to miss. You want to come and join us. The event is May 8th and May 9th. Alyssa is going to put in there a code that you can use that will give you a discount. I encourage you to use that and save the money. But here's the thing that I also want to stress. If you would like to also come a few days early, we have what's called pre-con. Pre-con is the Saturday and Sunday before the event. It's pure relaxation, pure leisure. It's just going to be enjoying one another's company in a very relaxed state. We're going to take in some of the local attractions for those that want to come into the town earlier. We're going to just enjoy some meals together, just have a relaxed time before the event beginning on May 8th and May 9th. As a word of advice, we encourage everyone to arrive no later than Sunday evening so that you're ready to go first thing Monday morning. And then on Tuesday, to make your travel arrangements to leave no sooner than 7 p.m. Tuesday evening, just to avoid feeling rushed at the end of the conference. So it's a 2-day event, very high intense. We got a lot going on. It's going to be all day Monday and most of the day Tuesday. We end Tuesday at 5 p.m. and you're going to have an amazing experience. I will be committed to making this a worthwhile experience. So if you've never gone to conferences, this will be a wonderful experience. If you've gone to other conferences, this is going to be a unique experience. I intentionally make this different than all other events, and it's intentional because I want you to feel like this was a worthwhile event, the best place for you to spend your time. So Alyssa, anything more you'd like to add? You were there last time.
Yes, I enjoyed it so much. It was so amazing to get to know just the other speakers. You know, I go to events all the time. I am an event junkie. And so the best way to describe it is you go to events and a lot of times the speakers are behind the stage, they're on the stage, they get off the stage and they walk away and you don't really, that's it, right? And you don't really feel like this community. And then you walk into the room and maybe you find 1 or 2 people that you might know and you talk to them and that's it. And I'm a bit of an introvert, and not on here. I can do this whole camera thing, but in person, I always get a little nervous. I'm a bit of an introvert, and I, at the end of the day, was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to go back to my hotel room because I talked to every single person in that room. Everyone was so excited to talk to one another. Every speaker took a moment to talk to me. And I got to make so many amazing connections at the last event and make some really great friends. Andrew Hunsicker and I became really close after that event. We have stayed connected ever since that event. I've been able to connect multiple times with the guys from the CFO project who are going to be there again. And I'm so excited to meet the new speakers that are going to be there this year. And so I'm super pumped for it. So it's just such a great community, and you've done so well at cultivating that culture of community and collaboration. And I love that. I do have a question here from Jenny. Jenny is in Utah, and she's an amazing client, great friend. She actually said, I just signed up for your CRM. So I told her all about you. And she said, I signed up for your CRM because she wants to check it out for all of her students as well. And she wants to know, she's in Idaho. I lied. She's in Idaho, but she's really close.
That's close.
I'm sorry. Do you cover the Facebook ads in more detail this year at GrowCon, specifically how to target your niche?
We're going to be talking about that a little bit. I've got 2 speakers that are going to be talking about it. So I believe they have it as part of their agenda, if you will. So I understand that the answer is yes. However, these types of questions are the questions that I'm happy to answer at the event. These are the conversations that we're having as we go deeper into particular situations or nuances. It's not been foreign to actually go over to a computer, pull it up and talk through certain things. So this is a great example of somebody having a very specific question that if it's not covered on the stage can be addressed one-on-one. And I'd be happy to do that with you at the event as well. So that'd be something I'd be more than happy to kind of go off as a one and have that conversation.
Yes, perfect. Perfect. Anybody else have any questions about the event? Let's see.
While you're looking at that, I'm going to share one thing.
Yeah.
When I took on the role of president, so I'm the third president. The company started in 1979. When I was transitioned into becoming the president, I sat down with the president and he had some final thoughts. And he gave me what we refer to as sacred cows, things that I, as the new president, shouldn't change. These are things that needed to remain as they are for a period of time at least, and many of them still continue. I have changed some. But the second thing that he talked about was conferences. Of all the things that he could have mentioned to me, he said, Roger, you need to make sure that you have it a priority to go to conferences. And Alyssa, like you were saying, become a conference junkie. I go to numerous conferences. I go to the Woodard Skelly New Heights. I go to QB Connect. I go to the Profit First event. I go to numbers of them. I was just 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas for a podcast conference. Why do I go to the conferences? Because it's there I learned the things that I don't know. So often I go there and I have epiphanies. I speak with people and they're telling me things that I didn't realize. And I come away with things that I didn't know I needed to do in my business. You may not see the value, but I can tell you that if you do it right, you go and you come away with so many things like, I need to do this, I have to do that, I better do this. And it just gives you a chance to realize there are people that are doing so much better than you. And sometimes we just kind of become complacent, and they help us realize, one, it's doable, and here's the path to it. And this is why. All these things start to become a lot more clear. The second thing I would like to offer as advice, whenever I go to conferences, I intend to, if the conference is a 2-day event, I try to do 1 or 2 days after the event that I don't schedule everything, because I need that free time after the event to implement the things and consider and implement the things that I've learned. So often early on, I would come back from the event with a ton of stuff I needed to do, jump right back into my work routine and not have the time to actually consider and implement. Set aside time after the conference, a day or two, so that you can now sit down with all the things you've collected, the notes you've made, the action items you identified, to now start putting them into place within the business. Otherwise, you just slip right back into the routine and you fail to do the things that you were so impressed to do while attending. So just some thoughts there. Alyssa?
I think the power of proximity is so important when it comes to attending events. It really makes business real. As virtual business owners, so many of us are building this virtual business, and we're on Zoom all the time. We're on our laptops, we're in our computers, we're in QuickBooks, right? And when we really get in rooms with people who are doing what we want to do or dream of doing, that's a new level of accountability. It's a new level of what's possible for us, and seeing somebody that looks like us, right? We're really all just looking for a mirror. And when you see somebody at a conference that looks like you, has a similar background as you, and it's like, wow, if you could do it, I can do it too. And it solidifies the reality of what's possible for you. And you take that home, and you take that home, and everything that you learned there and everything that you already knew, you can go put all of that into place. And you go back to the next event, and it's like, I don't want to go back to that event again, being in the same place I was last time, right? Because now I have these friends, now I have these peers. And so it's a new level of accountability. It's really easy to hide behind your computer screen. But when you're sitting, hanging out with these people, and you're across the table with them, when you're going out to dinner with them, and they're asking you, how are things going? It's a new level of real. And so many of us need that power of proximity to really like shake things up for our businesses and really make the difference in your business. So if you've been stagnant for too long, make this a priority. make it a priority, especially those of you who are on the West Coast. I know there's some people here right now. You're on the East Coast, or you're already attending our event on the East Coast. I understand having back-to-back events, but if you're on the West Coast and that was the reason you couldn't come to our East Coast event, make this a priority, right? Get to this event.
Yeah, I've got two things. Was it Jenny that you mentioned it was giving that question about the CRM? Jenny?
Yes. Yep.
Jenny, okay. Real quick for Jenny. I realized after speaking, you should have access, and if you don't, reach out to me and I can get you this. You should have access to an online social media marketing course that addresses some of the things that you were asking regarding niche marketing within Facebook. So if you don't have that, that would concern me, because you should have received access to the online social media course. And it talks about not only Facebook, but LinkedIn and so forth. So there's a variety of things there that I would definitely encourage you to look at. If that doesn't answer it, I'm more than happy to answer it. Second thing I wanted to point out is, Alyssa, I think, if I'm not mistaken, over your shoulder on the dry erase board, is that your lanyard from last year?
Yeah, is there one up there? There probably is. I don't think I have yours up here.
All right. I saw the lanyards and I was curious if that was one of them. So there you go. Okay. I was just wondering.
No, but I have to get yours up here. Yours is probably hanging at home.
Even better. There you go. I made it to the house.
I have a computer spot at home with lanyards, and then I have a bunch of lanyards here.
Very good. That is so funny. All right. Well, with that being said, definitely encourage you to attend. I look forward to meeting each of you. And honestly, it's an opportunity to really work on your business and collaborate with a lot of people that are in the same situation as you. And the insights that come from that are phenomenal. So that was great. I think this was a great discussion about working on the business. Oh, go ahead, please.
Are you offering a virtual attendance option?
No. And I will be emphatically no. So I'm very opinionated on this. I don't feel that the experience there is the same. You
Right.
just do not engage when you are working from home and doing like we're doing this right now online. You tend to multitask, you tend to be diverse. There's a lot of conversations that happen in between during breaks and at the meals. There's a lot going on at the conference that you do not experience virtually. And to assume that you're going to get the information from the speakers and be done, it's just a fraction of what the experience is attending a live event. You need to remove yourself from your daily workload. You need to remove yourself from the day-to-day operations, step aside from the business, and in doing so, experience the conference in its totality. So there's a reason for that. And I honestly think that the online experience doesn't do it justice, and I refuse to do that. The technology, the logistical to pull it off is very expensive. And honestly, I don't think it's affordable to be able to provide the online version only. So it's just as much to come to the live event, get here, and it's better off that way.
Okay. And then the last question, what time is the conference, May 8th and 9th? Is it listed out on the?
It is listed out. So the agenda is there. It begins 8 a.m. on Monday, the 8th. It will go until 5 p.m. And then we have a gala that night. It starts, I think, at 6 or 6:30. And then we'll be going to, I believe it's 8 or 9 with the gala. It's a dinner. And then we're giving out some awards and so forth. So it's a lot of fun that evening. So it's all day Monday from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. And then on Tuesday, it begins again at 8 a.m. and goes till 5 p.m. That's why we mentioned for your travel going home, don't make any arrangements earlier than 7 p.m. because at 5 p.m. when we end, that gives you ample time to get to the airport, those of you who are going to be traveling, so that you're not rushed to get to the flight. And so that's how we want to kind of communicate that. So there's your answer.
Okay. And I'll be sending out an email about all of this. Jenny asked about a website that shows the speakers and topics. I can send out an email with all the speakers and topics this evening, because I have that ready to go. So I have that information out for you guys. So
and
I'll be sending out.
That page that was shared also has quite a bit of that information too.
Yes, it does. Okay. All right. Thank you, Roger, so much. Thank you. I look forward to seeing all of you in Utah. Cannot wait. It is beautiful there. It is. And my husband is so amped for it. He's even coming with me this time. So Thank you again, and we'll see you guys later.
Perfect. Thanks for the opportunity. It was wonderful, Alyssa. Bye, everyone. Look forward to meeting you.
Bye.